So there's the field. Fleur Young, the European champion, goes into Andres Barrio, Ben Suzanne, Almeida, Papaconstantinou, Van Ganzenwinkel, gold in the 200, Hatz and Kamlish. There is Young. Wasn't the greatest of heats for Fleur Young, in fairness. She'll be looking to improve on that time. 3 Dutch to go. Almeida was the second just a moment ago. And there's the world record holder and Paralympic record holder in the T64s, Marleen Van Ganzenwinkel. On the outside, the former Paralympic record holder in the T64 category, Sophie Kamlish, who was 4th in 2016. Van Ganzenwinkel will go into it as favourite. But pressure does strange things sometimes.
Come on, let's go!
So Young in 2, Andres Barrio in 3, Ben Suzanne 4, Almeida 5, Papaconstantinou in 6, Van Ganzenwinkel 7, Hatz in 8, and Kamlish in lane 9. They get away fine as well, and Van Ganzenwinkel gets away, but quickest of all is Ben Suzanne over in lane 4. It's Irmgard Ben Suzanne. Van Ganzenwinkel's catching her. Van Ganzenwinkel on the line. It gets it from Ben Suzanne. A new Paralympic record for Marleen Van Ganzenwinkel. She's broken it for the second time at these Paralympic Games. Irmgard Ben Suzanne has come second and picked up a silver medal to go with the silver she picked up in the 200 metres. And Fleur Young, she was disappointing perhaps in the heats, has just missed out on a medal because Marissa Papaconstantinou, a lifetime best for the Canadian in 13:07. Look at the joy in her face. Well, we said she wants to be a broadcaster at the moment. She's a top class athlete. Van Ganzenwinkel, Ben Suzanne, and the lady on the right, Papaconstantinou of Canada. I don't think she can believe it. She's won a bronze medal at the Paralympics, but the lady in the middle has won the gold. Well, Ben Suzanne broke quickest of all. The T44 athlete. Van Ganzenwinkel picked her up, broke the Paralympic record, and Irmgard Ben Suzanne has broken the Paralympic record in the T44 category as well. So 2 Paralympic records in the one race. 3 different categories taking part. That's tight for the bronze, isn't it? Young with a much better performance, but can't get among the medals. That lady's among them again. Marleen Van Ganzenwinkel, T64 Paralympic record of 12.78 seconds. Irmgard Ben Suzanne has broken the T44 Paralympic record. Wonderful start from Ben Suzanne. The T44s always get a better start, but when those blades get going for the T62s to 64s, and they wind up, Van Ganzenwinkel just that. Having a sneaky look across at the time. Her friend, Fleur Young, they train together. They've got the same coach, come through the system together. It's Van Ganzenwinkel who takes the gold, though. Dutch delight for Marleen Van Ganzenwinkel. So a Paralympic record of 12.78 for Marleen Van Ganzenwinkel in the T64 category. Irmgard Ben Suzanne, T44 Paralympic record, and a lifetime best for Marissa Papaconstantinou of Canada.
Good morning, Brebeuf. It is an absolute honor to welcome our very special guest this morning. She's not only an incredible athlete who represents Canada with the utmost pride, but one of the sweetest, most humble people that I know. Without further ado, please welcome to the stage 2020 Paralympic medalist Marissa Papaconstantinou.
Hi, everyone. It's kind of crazy. This is the first time I'm speaking in front of people since the start of the pandemic. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today to speak to all of you. So I guess I'm going to start my story from the very beginning. I was born missing my right foot, so I'm considered what's called a Symes amputee. It was a really big shock to my parents when I was born because it wasn't something that they detected in the ultrasound, and it was definitely a surprise to them. And taking a moment to reflect as first-time parents, they had a moment of what's going to be next, what are we going to do? But it was very short period of time where they realized that I had the opportunity to do some really, really amazing things. So fast forward to the time I was 3 years old, they got me into sports as soon as I was allowed to. I was in soccer, I was in basketball, skiing, tennis, gymnastics. They just really pushed me to try a bunch of different things to see what I liked. But track and field was always something that I was very, very interested in. I did it in elementary school from the time I was allowed to in grade 4. And then from there, I just really wanted to get a running blade. I saw one of my role models, her name's Stephanie Reed. She competes for the UK, Great Britain. And she lost her leg when she was 16 in a boating accident. And so when I saw her start to get a running blade and to get involved in track and field, that really kind of set a pathway for what I thought I wanted to do. And so I entered a local track club at 12 years old, shortly after getting my first running blade. And, up until that point, I was just competing on a normal everyday prosthetic similar to what I'm wearing today. And I, when I got my first running blade, it was really like the sensation of having 2 feet for the first time. It was something that was so freeing and liberating, and I could move my body so much faster than I had before. And so I really just got involved in track simply because I loved it. I thought it was fun, but I didn't really know the opportunities that lay ahead until I watched the 2012 Paralympic Games in London. And this was the first time ever we were seeing para-athletes and athletes with disabilities on the world stage in mainstream platforms, in mainstream media, and that really inspired me. And I saw a lot of people that looked like myself, and that's where I realized that I had the potential to compete in the Paralympic Games. But I didn't realize that until 2013 when I actually broke the Canadian record for the 100-meter sprint amongst women in my classification. And for those of you who don't know what classification is, it's just the different segments in parasport that classifies where you compete based on your disability or ability. And so once I broke that Canadian record, I actually said to myself that, I do love this sport. I think I can take it further. And that's where I made it a goal to compete at the 2016 Paralympic Games in Rio. Now, keep in mind, I would only have been 16 at the time. But that didn't stop me from wanting to achieve that goal. And so I worked harder than I ever had before, and I trained and I sacrificed a lot. I was a high school student, so as you can imagine, a lot of high school students have different priorities, but my priority was to compete at the Paralympic Games. And so I missed out on a lot of gatherings with friends. I missed out on different things, but again, that was my main goal. That was what I really wanted to pursue. And so fast forward to 2016, I made the Paralympic Games that year. And it was a huge learning experience and a huge benefit to my athletic career because although I was only 16, I got to experience the biggest sporting environment in the world at a young age. And it was nerve-wracking. It was very scary. I was very intimidated, but I am very grateful for that experience because I feel as though it really gave me the opportunity to set myself up for success in the future. Now, although I had some success at a very young age, there were so many obstacles that came in the way of that. I, although made my first Paralympic Games at 16 years old, I also got disqualified in my Paralympic debut race for stepping on the line in the 200-meter semifinal after qualifying for the final. And that was really difficult and challenging for me because you, for so long, plan out how it's going to look like in your head. And I executed the race, I made the final, but that just one little mistake prevented me from moving forward. And so that was definitely something that I had to learn from and move forward with and ultimately come to terms with, because I trained 4 years for a 20-second race. And so it taught me a lot. It taught me about patience. It taught me about trusting the process. So then I brought that into the next year, which was World Championships in 2017. And I was very focused on redeeming myself from my performance in Rio. I was really disappointed in being disqualified, and I wanted to come back. And my world ranking was the highest it had ever been that year. I was ranked 3rd in the world, and I put a lot of pressure on myself. I put a lot of my pressure on myself to perform. I put a lot of pressure on myself to be on the podium and to medal. And it was kind of distracting me from my day-to-day process and my day-to-day the things that I have to focus on to get to that point and get to those goals that I wanted to achieve. And so I got to my 200 final. So we made it out of the semifinal this time. I didn't make the mistake of stepping on the line, but I got to that final, and I actually had this best start of my race I think I'd ever had until that point. And when I came around the bend, I was actually in bronze medal position, and I felt my hamstring just pop. It completely tore, and I fell to the ground. I was in a lot of pain, and I just couldn't believe in that moment what had happened. I had never experienced a level of pain and disappointment up until that point in my life. And, you know, although I had fallen to the ground, I was in an extreme amount of pain, I got up and I finished the race. And in that very moment where I was, you know, kind of hopping my way to the finish line, I didn't expect what type of energy I would receive back from that. And ultimately, I didn't realize what I showed people that day, and that was perseverance. No matter how many times you fall down, it's about each time you get back up. And I think I got more respect and more love from me just getting up and finishing the race than I would have medaling at the time. And again, that just showed me that, again, it doesn't matter how many times you fall down. It's about each time you get back up and keep pushing forward and persevering through the hard times. And again, that was just a really big learning experience for me. It was a hard recovery. It took me about 5 months to fully recover and get back to the sport like I was before. And it was a long mental recovery process as well, believing that I could still do it regardless of the fact that I had torn my hamstring. And so, there were a couple years of kind of resetting and rebuilding myself and kind of coming back to where I was. And then in 2019, I was planning on having a very big year. I was recovered from my hamstring. I was running faster than I ever had before, setting personal best after personal best at meets in Europe and around Canada. And I was just in a really, really great mental space. I was really proud of myself for being able to come back from such a big injury and to continue moving forward. But then there was this one track meet, and I had run really fast in the race. It was really windy, so I think I wasn't feeling well that day, and I think I ran a little faster than I probably should have at the time. And I ended up tearing my hamstring tendon in the other leg. And in that moment, I think, given what I had already experienced in the past and knowing that we had world championships that year and I had to recover as fast as I possibly could, I think in that moment, I just was defeated from the time it happened. Instead of kind of assessing the situation, seeing what I can do to make it better and move forward and kind of take everything day by day. But the problem was I was constantly thinking about that end goal, which was being at World Championships and performing to the best I possibly could. And there's a recurring theme here because it was retracting me from being able to assess my day-to-day and be able to move forward by day-to-day to ensure that I was taking the necessary steps to achieve that final goal. And so after that season, I had a horrible meet at World Championships. I barely was able to get through my race. I was still not fully recovered. And I think after that year, going into 2020, it really just put a lot of things into perspective for me. And so that's where I came up with the mantra that I try to live my day-to-day life by, and it's called riding the wave. And riding the wave to me means that regardless of the challenges or what's happening in life or the stresses that might be in my environment, I'm going to focus on every single task that I have and do it to the best of my ability and take everything day by day. And most importantly, living in the moment. It's so easy for us to always think about that next step and where we want to go to next, but you have to get those little things done in the moment to be able to get to that next step and to get to that next goal. I think that prepared me for a lot of things, that mindset. It allowed me to let go of a lot of anxiety. It allowed me to really cope with the pandemic. You know, the Paralympic Games were postponed. They were supposed to be in 2020. And I think it allowed me to just kind of reassess my situation, be able to do my sport every day because I simply love it. And it just taught me a lot about myself. And so I think coming into 2021, you know, of course, there were a lot of challenges going into this year. There was the unknown of races to qualify for the Paralympic Games, whether the Paralympic Games were going to even happen or not. And so the day-to-day was very stressful because we didn't know what tomorrow led to. And so I think just coming back to that mantra of riding the wave, staying in the moment, I was able to just focus on myself every single day and focus on those little tasks to get there. It was really hard to kind of maintain that focus throughout the season. You know, my competition was starting to run really fast. I wasn't running as fast as them at the time. And it was really hard to focus on the day-to-day because I knew that the end goal wasn't till August of this year. And so I had to just continue every day to better myself and to control what I could control. And ultimately, I think that led me to having a really great experience in Tokyo because I went into the competition the most prepared I ever was in my life. And I think it just allowed me at the end of the day, that level of preparedness allowed me to have fun. And I think that that's something that we often forget about in life is, you know, having fun and truly enjoying what you do every single day. And I would say that my experience in Tokyo, even if I didn't win the bronze medal, was so positive. You know, I went out and set my personal best in every single race I ran. That was my goal. I was just focusing on myself and what I can control in every single moment. And I came home with the bronze medal at the end of the day. And I'm very thankful for all the experiences in the past and all of those challenges because they ultimately led me to where I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. At this time, we have a few students that would like to ask some questions. I am going to invite up Elijah Panzo. Come on up for the first question for you, Marissa.
One, two, three. How long have you been a Blade Runner for?
That's a great question. So I've been a Blade Runner for, I think it's been almost 12 years now, 11 years. Long time.
Awesome. Thank you, Elijah. Dylan, would you like to ask the next question? Come on up. I will hold the mic for you, okay? All right.
Hi, Marissa. I'm Dylan. Have you ever been injured? How long did it take for you to recover?
Hi, Dylan. I've been injured twice now. The first time was when I tore my hamstring in 2017, and it took me 5 months to recover. And then the second time was in 2019. I tore my hamstring tendon, and it took me 2.5 months to recover.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get your answer? She's all recovered. Thank you, Dylan. Sajid, if you'd like to come up for the next question.
Hi, Marissa. My name is Sajid. What does your trainer entail?
So my training entails 5 days a week of track and weightlifting. So I do lots of different speed workouts, different endurance workouts, and yes, and I do the weight room as well.
5 days a week. Thank you, Sajid. Andres, would you like to join us, please? Yep. Right into the mic, okay?
What kind of sacrifices did you make to get to where you are?
It's a great question. So the types of sacrifices I think I've ultimately made over the years, I think I kind of mentioned it in my speech, but it was, I think, just more, missing out sometimes on like social things. It was definitely something I had trouble with balancing in high school, of like doing school and then also doing a high performance sport and then trying to balance, friends and family on top of that. I think as I've gotten older, though, I've done a much better job at having a good life balance in that sense.
Awesome. Thank you, Andres. Thank you. And Maxie, would you like to come up for the next question, please? Thank you. I'll hold the mic for you. Okay, you want to hold?
Hello, my name is Maxie. When did you start to play competitive sports?
So I started to do competitive sports when I was 8 years old. I was a competitive soccer player at first, and then I also did competitive basketball, and then competitive track started when I was 13.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Thank you, Maxie. And I would like to ask a question as well, Marissa. If you would like to share with the students here at Brebeuf what your education has looked like. What high school did you go to, what sports you played, and what your post-secondary goals, sports and career include?
Yeah, so I went to Bill Carter's secondary school, and I am currently at Ryerson University in sports media. I'm finishing up my 5th year, and hopefully in the future, I would love to be in broadcasting and media.
Awesome. Those are great goals. Thank you, Marissa. So at this time, I would like to say thank you to you, Marissa, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come and see us here today at Brebeuf. We truly appreciate it. I'm sure both the students in the theater today and those watching in the classrooms have learned so much from you. Mainly being, reach for those goals, persevere, and reach your own version of excellence. And that is a great, great, great message that you gave to all of us today. And we're truly thankful for that. I would like to invite up a few students today to present you with a gift from all of us here at the Brebeuf community. Joshua Leon, Peter Terzis, and Michael Bowles as well. If you guys can please come up with the gifts for Marissa.
Hello, nice to meet you. Thank you. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Of course, thank you. So again, thank you to everybody for joining both in the classrooms and here in the theater. At this time, we will be walking around the school with Marissa so she can come do some class visits. To those of you who are in classrooms, feel free to click the YouTube link that is in the description to watch her story while we are coming around to say hello. Thank you, everyone.